Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to do a little project that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is a vinyl transfer project. And it's going to feature the new Zoom LiveTrack L6 Max. Now, I could easily use the L6 or maybe any of the other recording mixers that I have and that we've looked at on the channel, but I think this is perfect because I've got the display so I can see what I'm doing as I'm making the files. I'm going to transfer the DrumDrops album, and that way I'm going to then kind of archive those into the computer and then hopefully use that for inspiration to create some new tracks. So let me get started by just saying something about DrumDrops. Back in the day, and this series of albums came out in the late 70s and into the 80s. This is volume 5, and it's kind of like a sample library, or like an early version of what we think of as a sample library for drum samples. And on here, there's all these tracks. They're like full songs of drum parts. And back in the day, before we had samplers and digital audio workstations, I would take these and my brother would take these and we'd write demos against these tracks. And then I sort of forgot all about this, and I thought, well, it would be fun to go back, have some of these tracks, hear what they sound like, and then just see what you could do with it now with a modern DAW. And I'm sure these have been sampled into a lot of other songs over the years. And this is volume 5. I have 2 others of these DrumDrop albums. Might try to look for the rest of the series. But the point is that you could do any vinyl transfer you want into one of these recorders, and it's perfect for that because there's nothing to set up. You basically hook your turntable up, drop the needle, hit record, and that's all you need to do. Now that is assuming you've got a phono preamp of some sort. But I'm using this newer turntable. It's a belt drive turntable from the company U-Turn, and it has a button right on the back that I can use to turn on the phono preamp feature, in which case it gives you a line level out, RCA there, 1/4 inch here, and you're ready to go. On this channel, I've just got this set flat, and I'll monitor through headphones here. Now, before I get into that though, this is the bench, and I am literally in a garage. Behind me are racks of gear, parts, workbench, and even cars are in the same space. And in the bench setup, I've done repair work here, and I've used these old Radio Shack speakers on the bench for ages. Even back when I was doing the Mackie, restoring the old Mackie CR4.5BT mixer, I was using these, and I've used them in a bunch of things. And they're really not that good, and they're pretty inconvenient to use. And since Mackie has been working with me on the channel, I'm officially now part of their artist program. I asked them to send me something, and they sent, to replace these, and they sent me the CR4.5 speakers, and I think that's probably perfect. I did see these at NAMM on the display there, and these speakers have the ability to adjust between kind of having it be for like a music listening experience or more like studio monitors. I'm going to start by doing a little unboxing, and then those will become my new benchtop speakers that I'll use when I'm out here on the bench testing gear or doing repairs. Now I have them out of the box, and I'm going to just take a look at them. This is the first time I've seen them here. I did see them at the NAMM show. The way this works is you have one powered speaker and then one passive speaker. So if you look at the back, this just has normal speaker clip-on terminals. That tells me something right away, that this is a passive crossover style of setup. So it's not bi-amped like you'd find in many high-end monitors. It is a regular power amp and a separate power amp here. We have a variety of inputs here. For the powered speaker, there's a switch here that says left and right, so you can use them either way. I'm going to leave this set to left, and then what we'll need to do is connect this up on the other side. We have inputs here that have a TRS balanced or unbalanced. We're going to use that to connect to the mixer. We also have RCA, and then we have normal stereo in. This does also have Bluetooth, and it has a desktop and bookshelf location. So I'm going to set it to desktop. It does have a rear port, which we can see here. You know, generally it looks like a nice bookshelf or desktop style speaker. I'm not sure exactly how long these have been in the Mackie line, but they're in the more affordable range. So as a secondary pair of speakers, like I'm going to use it here, or something like this for the workbench, I think it would probably work fine for music production or video editing as well. What we're going to do is use it with the Zoom live track here in this setup as our kind of our monitor here. Now it does look like there's a little bit of sound isolation stickers in here that would go on the bottom of the speaker, which we could use. I have some of these thicker ISO blocks that I'm going to use. I can't remember what these are called, but those are readily available. All right, so I think I now have the vinyl transfer setup configured, and we're going to give it a test and just see if we could get playback to get started. This is side 1, which has fast punk rock, medium British rock, straight ahead new wave, high energy British rock, and new wave shuffle. So I'll use the lever here. I don't know about the speaker volume or anything, so I'm going to turn the master down, and then I'll explain how I'm going to use the mixer.
You asked for it, you got it. Hi, Joey Vieira here, and Vibe, the hard rock and roll album. High Energy is riding high on the charts, and the British influence is stronger than ever. And as I promised, DrumDrops will stay on top of what's happening in the music industry and make it available to...
All right, so I will mute that right now. So I'm not recording yet, but there is a talking track where Joey Vieira, the guy who produced these things, talks, tells you all about this. And I'm going to record that as well, and then we'll also get into the grooves on that. So I've got it set up where the output from the turntable is coming in here on this first stereo channel, which is channel 5. And so I'm going to turn down the speakers, and then I'm going to drop the needle on the first track where we're getting some actual drum part.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so that is the punk rock track or something like that. And I'm going to engage the compressor here as well. And then I can adjust the room volume directly on the speaker. But while I'm doing this vinyl transfer, I really don't want these speakers on because the bass from them will, kind of affect and rumble back into the turntable. So I'll probably monitor through headphones when I'm doing that. All right, so I'm going to set this up. This time I'm going to go back, grab the original, the earliest part of the track. I'm going to turn the speakers off for this. And I have this all dialed in the way I want. To do the vinyl transfer, then all I need to do is hit record. That creates a new project. And then I just need to drop the needle. And as long as that side is, which looks like it's about less than 20 minutes, I can come back and this should be completely done. So then after that, I'll do another recording for side 2, and then we'll take a look at what we've got in the files back on the computer. All right, so this side is at the end, so I'll lift up the needle. We'll just stop the recording, and I'll play back a little bit to see what we have.
You asked for it, you got it. All 10 selections are in 4/4 time and use our standard arrangement.
All right, side 2 is finished on this, and so I'm going to hit record again to stop that, and then we'll take a look at this on the computer.
So now I've completed recording, and I have DrumDrops Volume 5 transferred from vinyl to the micro SD card on the L6 Max, and now I've taken that and copied the projects over right here to 2 different files or 2 different projects on my computer. And so I have this one, which is side 1, which includes all of the tracks and things like this. And what we want to pick up is this one, track 5 stereo. That is the one that is connected to the U-turn turntable. I'm just going to show this in SoundBridge, but there's similar workflows for every DAW. So you could just use your favorite DAW, but I'll drop this into the timeline onto a stereo track. And SoundBridge works fine with the 32-bit files off of there. And then you'll see that I've got that it's snapping. I don't need to have the snap turned on because the tempo doesn't really mean much here on a full album side. If I zoom out a little bit, then you'll start to see all of these different tracks. And what I want is to get these into separate files. So what I want to do is to put all of the files onto separate tracks. So what I have, side 1 has 5, and then side 2 has 5 more. So I'm going to basically chop these up. And in order to get set, I'm going to duplicate this track. I'll delete the audio from it. I want to create separate tracks for each of these. But before I do that, let's name this. So now that I've got it named, I deleted that other. I'm going to duplicate it, Command D, delete the contents of that, and then I'm going to duplicate it until I've got 10 of these. So I'll need 8 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now that I've got all the tracks named and actually counted wrong and added one more track at the end, one of the things that's important on these tracks is that you have the tempo stretch turned off because we don't want to do any tempo stretching. We want to capture these naturally. So that's one step I didn't show you in the beginning. It's one of the reasons I copied all the tracks is so that they're all set up with that tempo stretch turned off. And I kind of used this first track as a template. Now, cutting these up is really quite simple. We just use the cut tool. So I'll leave this one here, but then I'll just grab each of these and put them on their own track. So now that I've got those done, I'm going to go back over into the second side, the second project. And again, we've got all of the WAV files from all the things, but track 5 is where we did our recording. So we'll just bring that over in here. And I'll put it here on this track. We'll also clean up the beginning of this a little bit. So we'll zoom out a little bit and then chop up the remainder of these. I'll just solo some of these just so you can get an idea of what they sound like. And they're all in this same kind of song structure, which I'll show you here on the album cover that kind of shows you how they're arranged. So they're really a lot of fun to work with. Now, if you wanted to capture the tempo, sometimes I like to capture the tempo or approximate tempo into the name of the file name on it. So there's an extra step you could do here. I use this tool called Auto BPM. Now, this is really an iPad app. It is a free app from the App Store, and I found that it does run fine on Mac OS as well. And so if you get this listening and then play back, all right, so it's approximately 185. It varies. All of these vary a little bit, which is part of the beauty of it. So then the final step is going to be to export these. You could also export entire album sides, or you could put both sides together and just have it as one big file. But you could do all that within this project if you wanted to. But what I'm going to do is select all of these. I want to do WAV, 48, and 32-bit float, and it says bounce blocks. That means it's going to, if you don't do bounce blocks, it's basically going to bounce between the loop. But bounce blocks means it's going to bounce all of these individual blocks, which are in SoundBridge is the same thing as a clip. And then we'll pick a target directory. I think I will browse for this file. And this is our side 1 and our side 2, but I'll just go ahead and put them into this folder. So that's rendering the audio. And here are all of those files. They're named with all of the individual track names. And then there's a little bit of extra at the end. As you can see, it's also added the original WAV file name. And I could go in here in the OS and take that out if I didn't want to see that. But that is relating it back to the original project. So if I go in here and play one of these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, there you have it. That's my process for doing a vinyl transfer. And I did it using a lot of the tools that I've been showing and doing demos on the channel over this past year. And it's a great use of the Zoom L6 Max, as well as the Mackie speakers that I showed earlier. And if you like this kind of video, consider subscribing. If you want to buy any of the products, there'll be links for many of these things in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video very soon.